Like any work that I could get, I did. You know, I was a janitor, I cleaned factories, I worked for Coca-Cola, cleaned apartments, and did construction and whatever odd jobs I could find and get. And then I got on, and you know, I was already training at this point, so I was really just trying to make ends meet. And then I got on with the Arsenal up in Huntsville, and I thought that was a dream come true. I remember talking to you like it was yesterday. I was like, yeah, when I finally got my job, I was like, bro, I got in. You know, I'm just gonna sit here and kick it for 20 years and then bounce. Man, your boy ain't need me in the last like 3 years of that. I think I worked there for 2 years before they cut my contract. So I just, you know, I went home as soon as they told me that. They told me they would give me a little severance package. I went to the apartment manager and was like, yo, I just lost my job. You know, can I bounce? And, you know, I had maintained a good relationship with her. Like, we were cool and cordial. And, you know, and she was like, yeah, no problem. So I went, rented a U-Haul, and me and Zeke Knight packed up the apartment and drove to Birmingham that night. And then I spent probably a good 2-3 months, like, couch surfing, you know, and I finally got a job doing customer service work, and that might have been, like, I'm grateful for the opportunity and the people who, you know, gave me that opportunity, but man, that was probably the worst. Out of all the jobs I ever had, that was probably the worst, because people call you with a problem that you can solve, and then you just like, yo, I need your driver's license, and then they just, oh, you know, what do you mean my driver's license is expired? I'm looking at it right now, and I have to be nice and be like, yo, you know, sir, not necessarily the one in your wallet, but just the one that we have on file. If you want to take a picture of it with your phone and send it to me, you know, I can get it taken care of, and you can go do whatever it is that you're doing. And he's like, I'm not taking no goddamn picture of my phone. My phone doesn't even have a camera on it. And I'm just like, yo. So that was like miserable, but I always found sanity in training. And no matter what was going on in my life, whenever I was in the gym training or whatever, for that block of time, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, nothing else existed. You know, no problem in my life existed. And so I just like trained and trained and trained and trained and trained and trained and fought and fought and fought. And then I think 4 years after I started training. I think I started training when I was 24, 25, and I made my UFC debut when I was 30.
Yeah.
So 4 or 5 years of training and fighting and whatnot, and I was able to make my debut.